Welcome to Cheaters Theater. Over 95% of you watch without subscribing. Please like the video, subscribe, and turn on the bell. And tell us, where are you watching from? We'd love to know. Let's begin. Those Rockies, man. They get you every time. They reel you in with hope. This could be the season. All that talk about raw talent. We have some real potential here. The manager says every single year. It just depends on whether these guys want to make a career out of baseball. They have the skills, but will they actually use them? Same old song and dance, and then they crush you. Well, Brett, it is like this. Those Giants are a really talented team. They have put it all together this season. What are they now? 30-25. We just need to keep improving, yada yada yada. Meanwhile, here I am, a season ticket holder who forked over $2,665 for 61 home games at club level. Around me is the usual crowd of ticket holders, people I have come to know over the years. The club level is always a party. Plenty of food, plenty of booze, and we all take advantage. When the Rockies are losing, we drink to drown the sorrows. When they are winning, we drink to celebrate. Either way, there is drinking. Honestly, it is mostly just an excuse to get plastered. I drink to your health when we are together. I drink to your health when I am alone. And I have drunk to your health so often lately, I am starting to worry about my own. Somebody said that once. Do not ask me who. I was too drunk to remember. But I do remember laughing my butt off that night. The Rockies lost to the Padres 4-2, a real heartbreaker, but we made a party of it, an actual rager. By the time everyone else left, heading home with their girlfriends or wives, it was just me, alone in the parking lot at 11 p.m. For hours after the game ended, puking my guts out beside my truck. There I was, on my hands and knees, too drunk to stand, let alone walk. Which meant, obviously, I had to drive. I could not even make it to a bus stop if I wanted to. Leaning against my truck, puke on my shirt, I fumbled for my keys. Of course, I dropped them in my own vomit. That was pleasant. And then I heard voices. Not close, more like background noise cutting through the haze. A woman's voice, clear and professional. Denver 131. I am out with Colorado ADP 735, a red Ford F-150 in the Rockies parking lot. Structure C, space 325. Mail down. Her voice broke through the fog in my head. And just like that, my night was about to take a very different turn. 131 Denver, 10-4. Do you need backup? Denver 131, negative at this time. Looks to be an intoxicated man trying to get in his vehicle. We advise. I saw the pretty red and blue lights swirling all around me. I saw this very attractive female cop walking toward me, flashlight in her hand, shining on and around me. My body and head were leaning back on my pickup. I was helpless. I could not get up. I just could not do much of anything except look. What do we have here? The cop asked. You have been drinking at the Rockies game tonight. Maybe be a little, I replied, sounding surprisingly sober, I thought. Looks like you threw up all over yourself, sir. Do you have any identification? Yes, ma'am, dear. I reached for my back pocket to get my wallet and fell over, hitting my head on the pavement. Okay, never mind, I will get it. Is it in here in your pocket? She asked. Uh-huh, I said, my cheek lying in this puddle of cold vomit. Okay, Mr. Jason Cole Miller, Officer Lauren Parker said. Can you stand up? I do not think I replied. Jason, you are way too drunk to drive or be out in public. You are a danger to yourself, so I am going to have a paddy wagon come take you to the drunk tank and let you dry out for the night, she told me. No, take me drunk, I think I am home, I begged. She laughed. No, Jason, you would stink up my cruiser and I have to live in that thing tonight. So you will be okay. Just hang on. I woke up in a foul-smelling 20-by-20 cell with 13 other foul-smelling drunks. They had puked on their shirts, messed their pants, and generally made disasters of themselves. Of course, I did not need to be treated like this. I have money. I am not a common drunk. Just because I had soiled my pants does not mean I am like them. My head hurt so bad I wondered if I had a hemorrhage. My cotton mouth was so dry I would have considered drinking urine. The dried vomit on my clothes, face, and hands was repulsive. If I could ever find a shower, I might never leave it. Around 10 a.m., they opened the cell and processed us all out. I was miles from my pickup, on the streets outside the Denver City Jail, with no way except walking to get anywhere. When they gave me back the contents of my pockets at the time of arrest, I had my billfold with $634, credit cards and ID, my keys, a pocket knife, and part of a roll of lifesavers. I put the lifesavers into my mouth all at once and started the mushy walk down the street toward Coors Field. I walked into a 7-Eleven along the way to buy a bottle of juice, and the clerk refused to serve me because I looked and smelled so bad. No cab would have me. I was going to have to walk. Maybe I could get a bus. Then the strangest thing happened. The cop who had arrested me, Officer Lauren Parker, pulled up in her personal car, honked, and got out wearing street clothes. "Jason, let me give you a ride back to your truck," she said. "Just do not touch anything in my car. I have an old newspaper on the seat. Sit on that, and let us go." I looked at her like a clueless fool staring at a locked door. "Come on, get in," she urged. Thank you so much, ma'am," I said. "I am afraid I need a shower. I am sorry about smelling your car all up. We will just roll down the windows." "Jason, do you know what you said to me last night while we were waiting for the paddy wagon?" she asked. Not really. I hope I did not insult you." "No. You said, 'Take me drunk, I think I am home.'" "Oh, I guess I got a little mixed up," I replied. "Anyhow, I got to thinking about the irony of your statement. Kind of funny on the surface, but tragic underneath. I have been thinking about you all night. You are a young guy, nice looking, have money in your pocket. Where are you headed?" "I just want to get my car, officer." "Thanks for the ride," I deflected. "Jason, I got off at 6 a.m., then dragged my butt out of bed at 9:45 to be here for your release, and I am going to ask you to talk to me," she insisted. "I am just hungover. Had a big party after the Rockies game last night, that is all," I said. "I checked your record. You have had 1 DUI, 1 arrest for public intoxication, and 1 arrest for fighting. I imagine that for every time you have been arrested, you got away several times. Do you have a wife, parents, family?" she queried. "Nah, I am alone. Caught my wife in our bed with multiple guys. That was a little bit more than I was expecting, so I divorced her. Other than that, nobody," I said gloomily. "Oh, Jason, I am so sad to hear that. But you need to get over it. You cannot throw your life away just because she let you down. You are young, very good-looking, and you have a lot going for you. Here we are at your truck, Jason. If you want to get some help, I can give you a name and a number," she offered. "Yeah, that would be nice." "Thanks, officer. And thanks for the ride," I said. She took out a piece of paper from her purse, wrote something on it, and pressed it into my hand. "Call this number before you take your next drink, Jason. Someone who can help you will answer." "Okay, thanks," I said without looking at the paper. "Thanks again for the ride." I was glad to get the ride, but so glad to get away from the pushing me to get help stuff. I needed to remember to clean the seat of my pickup before I used it again. I got home and went in, finally, to get my shower. Oh, those were some nasty clothes. As I undressed, I looked at my clothes, thought about my condition and what a mess I had made of my life. Truly, since Kim and I split, I have wandered aimlessly. This is not acceptable. Messed pants, puke all over me and my clothes, arrested again. I have got to get some help. I do not need those Rockies anyhow, and that is the place to start, I decided. I needed to break the pattern. As the hot water flooded over me, washing chunks of puke out of my hair and the smell of dried sweat off my body, along with the mess from between my cheeks and down the back of my legs, I fixed myself some bacon. Then I made some cream gravy from the grease and put a pan of Kin biscuits in the oven. I fried 3 eggs and sat down with bacon and eggs, biscuits and gravy, and I drank a quart of orange juice. That helped. I saw the piece of paper which the police officer had pressed into my hand lying on the dresser. Picking it up, I wanted to see what she had written. It was only a phone number. No name, nothing else. When I was growing up, I had always thought that if someone's habits got so bad that other people actually took the trouble and cared enough to talk to that person about them, it was worth a hard look. The offending person owed it to himself, at least, to listen to the complainer. Then a little self-examination probably would be in order. I dialed the number. "Hello, this is Lauren," was the answer. "Oh, Officer Parker. This is Jason. Jason Miller. I did not think you would call, Jason. I am surprised you called so soon. Made a decision, have you?" she asked. "You were right. Everything you said. I called this number to see about a program or something. I offered." She explained. "Jason, there is something special about you. I am not licensed to treat you. I am not a professional counselor. I am just a cop. I became a cop to help people, and I spend way too much time just processing crimes, chasing people who hurt others, and doing paperwork. I thought a lot about you this morning and last night. I want to reach a hand out to you and see if we can find some place inside of you that I can meet you to sort through the things that are dragging you down, maybe help you back up. What do you think? Why me? What do you want to do to me? You still have a few choices left, Jason. But time marches on, and if your heavy drinking continues, your choices will become more and more limited. First, at some point, you may hurt someone. You may lose your freedom. You may lose your own life. Lots of things could, and some things will, happen. Your future is headed in a bad direction, she said, then added, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is just the way it is. It would be good for you to take a little stock of things. Yeah, I know, I replied quietly, somberly. And you want to help me take stock? I mean, why me and why you? Like I said, I wanted to be a cop to make a difference, and I am not making a difference. I am just chasing my tail. It is a big step for me too, Jason. I am taking a chance, and if you fail, I will fail. So I am kind of laying it on the line too. She spoke, revelation in her voice, her own awakening taking place as she explained the meaning of her intentions. Wow, it is like an angel has fluttered down into my life, and I was unable to finish my sentence. Lauren cried too. An emotional bond was beginning to form. It was a good thing, because it would be needed. So let us meet and set out some ideas and thoughts. Both of us need to be exposed here if we are going to be successful. For me, my intention is to get you to be aware of whatever weighs you down. I want to expose yourself to you. The only way I know of doing that is to just begin small and help you relax. I will share myself with you. You will not be on any exam table, because I will be out there for you to pick at, if that is what you want, she said thoughtfully. Okay, well, when are you working? When are you available? I asked. Since I have my trust fund, I really can do this any time of day or night, any day of the week, I added, then thought about her time. Am I going to be paying you for this? I will need to get you a copy of my schedule. Nope, no pay. This is something I am volunteering. I could have picked anyone, and I picked you, so we go into this equal. I am offering my time, my heart, and my best thoughts for you. You need to commit to offer your honest appraisal of life as you are experiencing it, to take things as they come honestly and deal with them openly, she said. My reward from this will be to see you be successful in life, to help you stare down discouragement and anger and whatever drags you down. If you begin to live successfully, you will make my day. We met at Village and restaurants mostly, because they have great coffee and free pie on Wednesdays if you buy something off the regular menu. It was just an excuse, really. Meeting in public while trust was being established was the best thing for us both. Let me tell you a little about Lauren. She is a tall woman, 6 feet 1 inch, with a lean, muscular build, but in her uniform, she seems to be of medium build. Cops have to wear bulletproof vests under their shirts, so it makes her look thicker. They carry utility belts with a .40 caliber handgun, 2 extra magazines, flashlight, expandable nightstick, handcuffs, a can of spray, 2-way radio, and a stun device. So when fully decked out in Denver PD's dark blues, she looks like she weighs in at about 180 or 190 pounds. In truth, she weighs 165 pounds. She has soft and supple skin, but she is lean and in shape. She has muscular legs, strong shoulders, and a flat belly. She is in excellent physical condition and knows how to fight. She is a student of martial arts and can put a man half again bigger than her on the ground before he knows what hit him. She is not infallible, but she is smart. She has a medium frame that she keeps well bound when in uniform and just past her shoulder-length blonde hair, which she keeps in a bun when working. Lauren is from a Montana clan and has 4 brothers, she being the one girl, and she is the youngest in the family. Her dad still works in a large open-pit mine there. Her mom owns her own house-cleaning business and makes as much as most men around their town. They are pure blue-collar people and are the salt of the earth. They work very hard. They love one another devotedly, and they are very proud of their baby, Lauren. Her older brothers are protective, but they have always picked on her mercilessly, playing boyhood pranks on her, and yet they were all for one and one for all. She could play a mean prank herself. Every one of her brothers received payback for whatever price he exacted from his sister, and payback was double at least. Lauren made her mark, giving as good as she got. It thickened her hide and honed her senses. One thing about Lauren, she knows men. She appreciates men. Her best friends are all men, her brothers. It would be a mistake to think that Lauren Parker is not interested in men. She is feminine, wants a husband and family. It is just that she is 6'1", strong, athletic, wise to male tricks, and has been raised around older brothers. Most men are intimidated by her or are not aware of her sensitivities. She has wholesome, next-door girl good looks and is 26 years old. I am 6 feet 4 inches, sandy hair, green eyes, weigh 225 pounds, and have a muscular build. I have been told that I am good-looking, but I am suffering a pretty severe case of lack of self-esteem since I found my wife cheating on me. I am not even going there. I have an inheritance and am not pressed for cash or for anything in this life except for a girlfriend. I am probably an alcoholic at only 30 years old. My mom died 5 years ago from cervical cancer. My dad died of a gunshot wound. He was a stockbroker, and one of his clients who had lost everything and blamed my dad shot him to death as he left his office building in downtown Denver 9 years ago. They were pretty well-to-do anyhow and had large life insurance policies, annuities, and financial depth, as it is called. I am an only child, so I inherited a great deal of wealth. I guess I started drinking after that, and then the divorce escalated things even more. So, Jason, what do you see for yourself? Who are you? Where are you headed? Lauren asked me. I do not know. Guess I am sort of a loser, do not have much direction. I think I need a good woman, but I would be a lousy choice for her, so that is not likely. There are lots of loser women out there, but they are worse than me. I need somebody who is better, stronger than me, I guess. I honestly appraised myself. Okay, but do you expect some strong woman to come along and make you better? Do you not have to take responsibility for your own self, so you do have something to offer someone? She asked. Yeah, I just cannot seem to get started. It is easier to just get drunk, I said. Well, that is honest. I appreciate that, Jason. You should try and break your cycle of destructive behavior. Stop hanging around with those who always want to get drunk or party, she opined. I know. I thought about that in the shower that day you took me home. Hey, I have not had a drink since that night you picked me up. Where have you been? What have you been doing? Just staying close to home. Not going to the games, not hanging around the bars or seeing my old friends. Some of them have called, but I have not answered the phone when I see it is them. I am off for the next 3 days. Do you want to do something together? She asked. Yeah, sure. What? Let us go skiing. We can go up to Winter Park or Eldora or even Vail if you want. Wow. I have not been skiing in years, since I was in high school. That would be a kick in the pants. Let us do it, I said. Though the Rockies were playing, it was late May, and the Colorado high country had had extraordinary snowstorms all season. There was still snowpack in the high country ski resorts, and they thought they would be open until Memorial Day at least, maybe a week longer into June even. I asked Lauren to call and get reservations, giving her my Diamond American Express card. She was only able to book one room, but it had 2 beds in it, and we got weekend passes so we could ski for 2 days unlimited. We were off to Vail Resort. I let Lauren drive my F-150. She was understandably cautious about car accidents and driving. Having witnessed some serious crashes, she tended to be a nervous passenger. No problem for me. I was glad to let her drive and enjoy the scenery. I was actually having fun. I think she was too, a little anyhow. We rented all our ski equipment up there at the ski shop, took lessons for the first morning on the beginner slopes, and then we were set loose to try our hand at snow skiing. We rode up the chair lifts together and tried coming down together. That was hard, because it is hard to go the same speed when you really cannot control yourself that well. Lauren took a nasty fall late in the first day and wrenched her knee pretty bad. Fortunately, I was behind her and stopped uphill above her. She was writhing on the ground, holding her knee. I unhooked my skis and knelt beside her, looking to see if I could do something. Her pain was intense. She was not dealing with me at the moment. The ski patrol had seen her fall and were there inside 10 minutes. They loaded her on a sled and took her down to the clinic at the bottom of the hill. The nurse practitioner at the clinic said it could be broken, but more likely was a nasty sprain. He wrapped it and gave her crutches, ordering her to keep off her leg and to see a physician as soon as we got back to Denver. We went back to our room and were talking. I do not know any good orthopedic doctors. Do you, Jason? She asked. I use University of Colorado Hospital for everything, but I do not know if they have orthopedics. I can call my friend and he can point me to an orthopedist if that is okay with you. I offered. That would be great, she replied. Unfortunately, I was unable to contact my friend at UC because it was late in the day. We will stay here tonight. I will order in pizza, and then on the way down the hill tomorrow, I will get you in somewhere as we are driving into town, I said. Oh, a man in charge. I like it, Lauren teased, a little high on the codeine pills. I helped her get ready for bed and ordered pizza. We had supper and hit the rack. She was pretty dopey from the pain pills anyhow. The next day, we went straight into UC, where we were directed to orthopedics, and she was treated very well. The doctor assessed her injury and pronounced it to be a badly sprained knee. There was no permanent damage, but it would be weak for some months. She was fitted with under-the-clothes reinforcement for the knee, given more pain meds, and released with written orders. No work until released by doctor. Her sergeant did not care much for that, so he made her come in and fly a desk with the pain pills, though she really was not much good to them. But they wanted her there, so her benefits and salary would continue unabated. After 3 weeks, I got a call from her. Jason, would you be a dear and stop off at Walgreens and get my refill on those strong pain pills? I am running low and need them for this damn knee pain. Still lots of pain. Low, better get you back to the Sawbones and see what he says. Okay, yeah, okay, but I need those pills tonight. If you could, please. I took her in the next Friday to UC Orthopedic Department, and her doctor examined her. It is healing nicely. You should be able to take that brace off anytime now. Just take it easy and you will be okay, he said. Yeah, but I still have pain, doc. Can you renew that script for the strong pills? They are highly addictive, Officer Parker. I wish we could ratchet that down and get you on something less potent. You need to wean yourself off them now before this becomes an addiction, the doctor warned solemnly. Yeah, okay, just fill one more for me, and then I will go to something less addictive, please, she begged. He wrote out a prescription and handed it to her silently. She took it, and we left. When Walgreens filled the prescription, it was not for the strong pills, but Tylenol 3. Lauren hit the ceiling when she realized what the doctor had done. Suddenly, Lauren Parker and Jason Miller were on equal ground. The best thing about all this is that Lauren is a strong person. The second best thing is that she had only been on the heavy pain meds for a little over 3 weeks, though that can be enough. She did not totally fall under the spell of that addictive beast, but got close enough to smell the foul odor of that trap. Helping Lauren assess things in her own life also helped me. While I was taking her inventory, I took my own. I had not had a drink in 8 weeks, and Lauren was off all pain meds except for an occasional Advil. She started out strong, but during the process she became needful, and I was the guy who was there to help her. It served to ingratiate me with her. She started looking at me like I had been looking at her, with big moon-shaped eyes. We began dating, having dinners, going places, and doing things together on her days off. There was no physical relationship. She was wary and wanted to wait until there was real commitment. We did some kissing and close holding and some heavy breathing. She stopped me anytime I got too adventurous, even though she had strong feelings too. 8 weeks became 3 months, then 5 months. We spent her days off together, enjoying one another, discovering places and doing interesting things. However, a chasm began to grow between us. She was a cop, after all, and I, an ordinary citizen. She had a league of brethren that she worked with, trained with, and counted on for protection, which she provided as well. Slowly, she began to withdraw from me, especially when it became clear that I was not going to return to drinking my life away and that I was doing well and recovering from my drinking problem. Finally, she ended it. Jason, we need to go on with our lives. I care for you so much, and I know you care for me, but we are from different worlds. I have aspirations, and you have a different future than me. She gently told me the last night we were together. I listened silently, knowing that something like this was coming. Her growing detachment from me was obvious, and I had steeled myself against this day. You have done so much for me, Lauren, I said. I would probably be dead or in prison or something right now if you had not taken me on as a project. You were more than a project, Jason. You were special. I always said so, remember? She asked. Yeah, I remember, I replied. Well, so I guess this is it. I hate goodbyes, and I will do my crying in private. But I love you, Lauren, and I will never forget you. Never forget that you threw me a lifeline just as I was about to gasp my last. My voice began to crack as I headed for the door. Jason, Please do not leave hurt. I did not mean we would never see one another. I closed the door and was just out of her building as my tears hit. I made it to my car and sat and cried like a schoolgirl. Lauren lived in an apartment building off Florida and Evans, and I had my penthouse downtown off the 16th Street Mall. I drove home, walked into my place feeling hollow, and wondered if a drink would hit the spot. I thought about what I had learned in the past few months, how my life had turned. I began to realize I had a lot going for me, and I should not spend my time trying to destroy myself any longer, but to make something productive come from my time here on Earth. I would always hold Lauren Parker special in my heart, but she did not see me as a potential mate, and there was really nothing I could do about that. I just had to gird myself up and go on. I had millions of dollars, with no need to work for the rest of my life. But I could not just sit and eat pistachios. I needed an avocation. On a whim, I registered as a Republican and ran for the Colorado Senate, for a seat being vacated in downtown Denver. It had long been held by the Democrats. I really had no credentials to run. I did have a 4-year college degree, but I was loaded and had never really had a job, so I would fit in perfectly if I could win the seat. The Republican Party got behind me and poured funds into my campaign, trying to take control of the Senate away from the Democrats. They called me a fresh face with new ideas, and I worked hard at it. We had rallies, I gave speeches and interviews, and I won that seat by only 56 votes. It was truly an upset victory, and the Republicans did take control of the Colorado State Senate by a 2-seat majority. I got my committee assignments and pretty much voted the party line on everything that came up. It took quite a while for me to acclimate to the rigors of public life, of political life, and of being a power broker, but I became popular with my colleagues and quite well known around metropolitan Denver. I had held the seat for 4 years and was up for re-election for another 4-year term. I had a lot of money in my campaign coffers and spent a lot of time kissing babies, going to lunch and rubber chicken suppers. I worked lots of rope lines, shaking hands, meeting and greeting my constituents, the voters. We received some death threats. My office staff had intercepted them and notified the Colorado State Patrol, who have responsibility for Capitol security. But outside the legislature, we are unprotected, and so whatever police district we are in has the burden of security if we notify them that we will be holding an event. My secretary had notified Denver PD that I would be doing a Saturday 5K jog and meet and greet afterward in Cheeseman Park, southeast of downtown. The police department said they would assign an officer to run the 5K race with me, and then a contingent of 2 more officers to hang close as I moved about the crowd. They would be out of uniform, but be in service and armed, as well as have protective clothing on. There were probably 125 or 150 people in the group. I was shaking hands. One of my staffers was handing out campaign literature, and out of the corner of my right eye I saw a steel glint. Then I heard several loud gunshots at close range. I was knocked to the ground with people on top of me. There were a couple more gunshots, and chaos reigned. I saw blood, and there was screaming and yelling. I heard orders being yelled, lots of confusion. It did not seem I was hurt, at least I did not feel any pain, but I had this warm, sticky stuff. Oh, it was blood coming from my chest. It was becoming hard to breathe. I felt like I was drowning. I woke up in Denver General Hospital. I had been shot in the lung. 2 bystanders were killed, and a Denver police officer who had been protecting me was seriously wounded and still in surgery. I was told the officer had stepped in harm's way to protect me by taking a second bullet meant for me, then landing on me as we both fell to the ground, which also broke 2 of my ribs. I had never even seen the security detail that DPD had said they would assign me. I did see and talk to the officer who ran the race with me, but it got so hectic right afterward, I never even looked for the other 2 when I started greeting the crowds. At first, I had no idea at all that it was Lauren Parker who had taken a bullet for me and now lay seriously wounded in surgery at this same hospital, fighting for her life. The shooter was shot to death by my other security guard. That was the second set of shots I had heard after falling to the ground. The assailant was an ardent Democratic supporter of the guy who I had beat by 56 votes almost 4 years previously. I guess some people wanted their Senate seat back. They said I had a .38 caliber slug in my lung when I arrived at their ER. I was losing blood fast, and they performed emergency surgery, removing the slug and repairing what damage they could find. They were cautiously optimistic that I would make a full recovery. I asked about the officer. Her prognosis was not so rosy. She had a bulletproof vest on, but it is open on the sides, and she was turned to the side when the shooting began. She took a slug on her left side, and the bullet grazed an artery near her heart and stopped in her left lung after shattering a rib as it went by. She took a second round to the palm of her right hand as she had put it forward, using it as a shield against the onslaught of bullets. After she was hit, she went right down on top of me, breaking my ribs. They got the slug out of her lung and were trying valiantly to repair the bullet-grazed artery of her heart. The surgeons at Denver General Hospital had called University Hospital for the world-famous heart surgeon, Dr. Marcus Ellison, on staff there. Dr. Ellison arrived at DGH as they were just beginning to work on her heart. Lauren died on the table, her wounded heart stopping just after they began operating on it. The tenacious ER teams and Dr. Ellison refused to accept that as the final answer and worked feverishly to restore a heartbeat, a blood pressure, stop the bleeding, restart normal function, mend the broken rib that the bullet shattered, and repair the artery that had been nicked, bringing Lauren back to a living, breathing person. She was in surgery for 12 hours. The team of hard-working, expert physicians saved the brave police officer's life. Her outlook was now bright. With time and therapy, she would be okay. I asked if we could be in the same room as patients. They had to make sure Lauren was okay with that, so when she could communicate, she nodded her head, yes, to the question, "Would you like to be in the same room as Senator Miller?" They pushed our beds about as close as they could and still get the machines in there. I stuck my hand through the rail, and she hers. We held hands. We had a constant stream of visitors. I had a message from President Coleman and Vice President Andrea Foster, visits from our Democratic governor, most of the Republican senators that I served with, and even many Democratic ones. Lauren was visited by literally hundreds of Denver police and sheriff's officers. Other departments also sent representatives. It became so much the hospital had to shut it down. Lauren asked if instead of visiting, they would each give a pint of blood. That would mean so much to her. The hospital received 3,219 pints of blood in the ensuing weeks. It was donated by law enforcement officers and firefighters from around the state, also from many citizens throughout metropolitan Denver. The blood bank finally had to refuse more blood because they were afraid it would not all keep, and they were full. We were in the hospital together for 3 weeks. She was in longer than I, but we had many opportunities to talk during quiet evenings or late at night when we were both awake. I never meant to drive you away, Jason. I just needed some space. We were so close, and I had not intended to fall in love. Plus, my career was taking off, and I had a lot of demands, training demands, and other departmental things going on, Lauren said. I thought it best to make a clean break. Laura, I could tell you had been more and more detached from me. When you started to talk that night, I already knew that you needed space from me, that you had decided to move on. To cling to you would have been to drive you away totally, I told her solemnly. You saved my life. Several people have told me that you put yourself in harm's way. You pushed me down and took that bullet, then another one in your hand. Your life is forever changed because of your sacrifice, I murmured. Lauren, you have saved me twice now, I said. Well, I cannot have my guy dying on me now, can I? She said. Somebody has to look out for you. Besides, you saved me from what was becoming a pretty bad pain pill habit that would have ruined my life, Jason. You hung in there with me and made me see myself. I owed you for that. Besides, it was my job to protect you last Saturday. That was why I was there. Well, if we are keeping score, I am still down 1. But let us make a deal. Let us quit the rescue business, I offered. I am still a cop, still in that line of work. You know, she reminded me. I imagine you will be getting some time off after you get out, some recuperation time. I want you to come to my place. I will hire a nurse, and we can convalesce together for a few weeks. What do you say? I asked. Sounds good, Jason. I might just take you up on that. I need to sleep. See you in the morning, she said. I won re-election handily from my penthouse apartment after being released from Denver General Hospital. I had allowed one of the television stations and one of the daily newspapers into my roomy apartment every week for an extensive interview leading up to the election. Lauren was there for some of them, and our story just won the hearts of the people. I could have been president of Colorado if I had asked, and Lauren could have been queen. She is so tall and elegantly beautiful, with her blonde locks, light eyes, and sweet smile. She looks nothing like a hardened cop, though she is tough as a pickup truck. Together, in the interviews, we told of the beginning of our relationship, how she had found me in my own vomit, how I had been arrested for various alcohol-related offenses in the past, how she had taken me under her wing and given me a hand up. It was a comeback story, and instead of being viewed as shameful, it was inspirational. There was always some smart reporter wanting to know if she was bent on saving the world. Her answer: no, Todd, not save the world. But all the darkness in the world cannot hide the light of a single candle. Mostly, they just looked at her with a 1,000-yard stare after that. We were recovering slowly. We underwent extensive rehabilitation and needed lots of time to heal. We each needed to go at our own pace, but heal we did. My place is so large that I offered Lauren the chance to just move in and take up residence in one of the spare bedrooms if she wanted. It turned out she did want that, but we were still platonic. I never could figure out her intentions towards me. If it were up to me, I would have made us a couple officially, but it was not just up to me. She was either going slow, making sure, or not interested at all. However, this time our bond strengthened. Our hearts were becoming knit. We ate together, spent our evenings together, and she accompanied me on some state business where a date or spouse's attendance was appropriate. She was off the streets as a uniformed cop, though she was promoted to detective sergeant. It was less rigorous, and she could cut back on her hours if she needed to rest some. I had a call from Gordon Hale, the chairman of the Colorado Republican Party. He wanted to come over and visit. I told him we would make a dinner party of it, and to bring his wife. Actually, there were 10 men with him when they came, and it was not dinner they wanted to talk about. Jason, the governor, is up for re-election next year, and we think he is vulnerable. We want you to put your hat in the ring and run against him. If we can get the governorship, we will have all three: the House, the Senate, and the governor's office, he announced, to nods of approval. Lauren sat there wide-eyed, not indicating her preference one way or another. I will need some time to think it over. Nothing like this was on my radar, so it has come to me out of the blue. Just let me think about it, I said thoughtfully. We would like your answer by the 1st of the month, Gordon said. We have a lot of planning and scheduling to do. I hope you are on board with this. The Republican Party is stronger now here in Colorado. We want to field a strong candidate for governor, and we think you are it. If you agree to run, you will have the full weight of the Colorado and National Republican Party and substantial financial backing behind you. They all finished their drinks and left. The meeting lasted but 30 minutes. We did not eat dinner. I had barely begun my second term as a state senator and was only 36 years old. I had been out of the hospital for 7 months after the shooting and was nearly back to normal. I had been in good condition before the shooting, which helped my recovery substantially. The doctors had said Lauren was recovering, but more slowly, as she had been more severely wounded. However, she would make a full recovery just in a few months more than me. She was glad to have a place to recuperate where she had peace and was cared for both physically and emotionally. We still had not resolved anything between us. I felt that I needed resolution before making any decision on trying for the governor's mansion. Lauren, I would like to spend a little time, just you and me, talking, I mentioned. Okay, shoot, she said jokingly. This is hard for me, but it is time now, if ever there was a time. I care for you. I want to know that you are okay. I want to spend my time with you. I want you to want me. I love you, I said quietly, with my head bowed, afraid to look her in the eye for fear of rejection. She was silent a long time. We sat across from one another, her looking at me and me avoiding her gaze. I realized that this was the moment that the rubber hit the road. Our future hinged on what was about to be said. I was not overly invested in the sense of desperation, because our relationship had matured and I knew that we would always be friends, buddies. That I had tipped my hand and spoken the L word was a first for us, but it forced her at last to make her heart known to me. I had never known her even to date other men, cops, or otherwise. Lauren weighed her words carefully for several minutes. You are so good for me. I never feel this way around other people. I mean, I am from a large family of all brothers. My brothers and I are friends. We are more than that, and we are best friends. The cops I work with are mostly men. We are brothers. We are family. We are not really friends, though, because too much is riding on our confidence level with one another. We are comrades in arms, I guess, she said. I blinked at her, wondering when she would comment on what I had said, wondering if or how I figured into this her life full of men. I was such a different type of man in her life. Her brothers and her cop buddies were all macho tough guy types. Me, I was certainly not feminine, but I just did not need to prove anything. I was kind of mellow and laid back, bright but content with who I was. Like I said, Jason, you are so good for me. Around you, I feel different. I feel that I am gently treated, that I am a treasure to you, that I am special. I do sense your love for me. It has perplexed me for a long time. I do not know what to do with it. It is not something I am used to dealing with. Okay, well, I stammered. Do I love you back? She asked. I blinked, then blinked again, breathless, waiting, wondering. Yes, I do. I have never felt free to express my love. It was always tough love, rub some dirt on it. It will be all right type of love, she said. Jason, I am totally inexperienced with relationships. I mean, I have more men in my life than probably any woman you ever met, but I do not know much about the kind of love that I know you are offering and that you want me to express to you, Lauren said. I mean, I am not a virgin. I have been physically close a few times, but I have never really been able to share that deeper connection with a guy in the room. Everyone seems to think that I want it wild, that because I am tough and can land and take a punch that I want to be treated wild when we are together, she lamented. She continued, I have avoided all this with you. I have made you back off when you get excited, even when you get me excited. I did that because I did not know what to do if you made me fall in love. It is something gentle and soft and kind, and I do not go there too much. I know it is there, but it kind of has me buffaloed, know what I mean? One more thing, then I will shut up, Jason. If I let you see past my tough exterior, I fear that you may not like what you see, that you might reject it and leave me weakened. I have never been weak, and I fear it. She was speaking quietly, and her vulnerability was beginning to reveal itself. I understand. Look at me, Lauren. I love you. What you have just told me about is that little girl who was locked up by rough and tumble guy brothers who wanted to tease and overprotect their baby sister. But you grew up taller and tougher than some of them, and so they still forced you to be one of them, not let you be who you might choose to be. All I can say is that I promise to do my best to love you as you are and let you be you. She had tears in her eyes. She was not sobbing, but I had never seen her tear up. She had always been strong. She had seen horrible suffering, handled horrific situations, dealt with terrible people, and for her, a revealed tear was quite a step. Even when she was fighting her pain pill struggle, she stayed tough-minded. What a great woman. What a great person. I do love her. So, Jason, be close to me. Teach me how to be loved. Show me how to love you, she said. Then she cried great, heaving sobs. A lifetime of suppression began to find its way to the light of day. For Lauren to allow herself to be vulnerable was as big an achievement as any she ever had accomplished. She left her chair across the table from me and ran around, sobbing, her blonde ponytail bouncing as she trotted all 6 feet 1 inch to me. I was standing as she reached me and nearly fell with her as she impacted me with such force. I led her into my bedroom. We stood there, her tears still flowing, the cleansing of the moment not finished. I motioned for her to stand still and went to get a warm washcloth. I started the huge tub full of water and came back to wipe her face. As I wiped her cheeks and nose like a little girl, this 6'1", 165-pound child became pliable, eager to be supported, touched, and treated tenderly. She just did not know what to do. Neither of us spoke. I unbuttoned her blouse, brushed it from her shoulders, letting it fall to the floor. She showed a twinge of shyness, pulling her arms up protectively. Very gently, I placed my hands on her shoulders from behind, moving them around her neck in a comforting gesture. I pulled her closer, offering a sense of warmth and reassurance. My hands lightly touched her arms as I whispered soothingly in her ear, hoping to ease her tension. She turned her head slightly, her eyes meeting mine with a mixture of vulnerability and gratitude. Without breaking the connection, she turned to face me, and we embraced, finding solace in each other's presence. Her tears had stopped, replaced by a quiet calmness. I led her to the nearly full bathtub of warm water and helped her step in, ensuring she felt secure as she sat down. I carefully poured some shampoo into my hand, gently working it into her wet hair. I took my time, massaging her scalp with care and rinsing her blonde locks with water from the tub. The clean, fragrant scent of the shampoo filled the air as I repeated the process, creating a moment of peaceful closeness. I took a bar of soap, and she handed me a washcloth off the counter, but I dropped it. I turned her in the tub so her back was to me and she was sitting between my legs. I rubbed the bar of soap on her back, neck, shoulders, and under her arms. I smoothed it down her arms and squeezed her fingers, massaging each one. She had relaxed completely in my embrace. I gently turned her body, repositioning her in the tub to make her more comfortable, and leaned her back against the opposite side for support. Her eyes met mine, calm and reflective, as we shared a quiet moment. I soaked her legs and feet with care, paying attention to every detail to ensure she felt at ease. Afterward, I washed myself, starting with my hair and working my way down to my arms, chest, and legs. Once done, I sat in the tub to rinse off before standing and stepping out carefully. I grabbed a towel and dried myself thoroughly. When I was finished, I reached for her hands and helped her to her feet, guiding her out of the tub. I dried her hair with a towel and then gently patted down her body with another, ensuring she was comfortable and dry. Finally, I sat her down on the closed toilet lid and blow-dried her hair, ensuring every detail was attended to with care and patience. When she would make a grab, I would back away or pull her hands down, indicating silently that I was going to finish what I had started. Finally, we were finished drying, and I brushed her hair. I had not applied rinse, so it was frizzy, but I never let her see it in the mirror. She only smelled the cleanliness of soap and never saw herself in the mirror. I led her into the bedroom and turned her to me as we stood beside the bed. As we kissed, I nudged her onto the bed. Her legs buckled, and she sat down, then lay back. I lay beside her, kissing her. She was breathing heavily, her breath sounding raspy, almost hoarse, with audible sounds on both the exhale and inhale. Her body seemed to respond to the closeness, shifting slightly. It was a moment of connection, subtle but significant. I stayed close, keeping my touch light and reassuring so she felt safe. I exhaled softly near her, and she stilled, her focus entirely on the moment. My light touch seemed to bring a sense of calm, and her breathing gradually steadied. Her hands rested on me as she leaned into the moment, her body expressing a mix of vulnerability and trust. Though the intensity of her responses grew, I stayed mindful, ensuring the moment remained supportive and respectful. When I felt her tension ease, I drew back just a little, allowing her to regain her composure fully. Her reaction showed she had been deeply immersed in the experience, unaware of the impact it had on me as well. I laughed softly and wiped my damp face on the bed sheets, then slid up along her body to lie face to face. I kissed her and asked, "How was that? I never knew anything like that in my life. I want you close like that all the time. I love that. Thank you so much," she said, almost breathless. "We are not through, little girl," I warned gently. Once we were done, she lay on top of me. She laid her head back on my shoulder, where our shoulders were lined up next to one another, both of us lying on our backs, catching our breath. "Jason, I do love you so much." Detective Sergeant Lauren Parker of the Denver Police Department became Mrs. Jason Miller 3 weeks later. She encouraged me to launch my bid for governor. It would be a 3-year run for office. I kept my seat in the state Senate as I ran, and was a constant thorn in the side of the current governor and the Democrats in the state legislature. Lauren became a leader in the investigative ranks of detectives. It seems that finding her softer side and exposing her vulnerabilities to one man she could trust strengthened her even more than anyone could have imagined. She was promoted to lieutenant after only 6 years as a sergeant. I was in my 2nd year as governor of Colorado when another attempt was made on my life. There was only one guard on duty at the governor's mansion at night. Someone had sneaked onto the grounds of the mansion and into the mansion itself. He was armed with a pistol and a knife. He made his way into our bedroom upstairs without being noticed, but some noise that he made awakened Lauren. She put 3 rounds into his neck and chest when he was only 9 feet away from me. I was asleep when it happened. She keeps her service weapon close by 24/7. She had saved my life yet again. Security was tightened considerably around me after that. We discussed whether she should keep her job with the constant danger that she faced, and she insisted that she loved it and was as safe as any other cop. Lauren hunted around and found a small weapon that I could carry concealed. She taught me how to use it. We practiced every month, shooting a minimum of 60 rounds, and she instructed me to be thinking of possible escape routes and what to do every time I went into public. If the people of Colorado ever realized their governor was a gun-carrying man, they might not appreciate it. However, generally the security detail agreed with Lauren. It was best to make me more security aware and able to defend myself if the need arose, in addition to them ratcheting up their proficiency in this ever-increasingly dangerous day and age. A new mayor of Denver was elected, and he hired a new chief of police. The new chief wanted his own people in key command positions, and after extensive review, he put Lauren in as his captain of detectives, which is a division chief position. I ran for and was elected to a second term as governor of Colorado. Midway through my second term, the Republican Party asked me to toss my hat into the ring for United States Senator, telling me I would be a shoo-in since I was such a popular governor and would be term limited out of office after this term was over. That would mean Lauren and I would be apart more than we would be together, her in Denver and me in Washington, D.C. We never had children, but our love was totally devotional, and she said she would support me whatever decision I made. I thought about it, and after Lauren and I had another of our long, exhausting nights together where we held on to each other like life rafts, I decided not to stay in public office after my term as governor passed. I was content being the spouse of the chief of detectives. After all, how often does a love come along like this? It is rare according to my observations. Why gain the world and take the chance on losing the best thing that could happen to me, my wife? No, I am happy. No need to fix happy. I turned down the offer to run for United States Senator from Colorado. In the second half of my second four-year term as governor of Colorado, I would be term limited out as governor, unable to run for a third term, though my approval ratings approached 81% within the state even after 8 years and some tough decisions. My wife, Lauren, was having a wildly successful career as division chief of detectives for the Denver Police Department. I could not ask her to leave her fulfilling job and move to Washington, D.C., and I would not be able to bear being apart from her. Some things began occurring during that time, though, that changed the fate of us both. More than just us, it would affect the entire United States, even the whole world. A scandal broke in the winter of my 8th year in office. Not a scandal in the governor's office, a scandal in the Denver Police Department. The feds had conducted a sting operation and swept up 22 detectives, 61 uniformed patrol officers, and 12 supervising officers from the Denver Police Department. Racketeering charges, corrupt police practices, and a host of bribery, lying, and cheating charges were filed. 95 total officers were suspended, fired, or quit. The federal court dockets were filled with cases of police corruption. Lauren had been chief of detectives, and some of her officers were involved. She herself was clean. No fingers pointed her direction, no invectives directed at her, no suspicions ever noted regarding her actions or decisions. Lauren was, however, a prime candidate for throwing under the bus, cleaning house, exonerating the chief of police and the mayor. So she was asked to resign as a supervisor. They charged that she should have had a handle on her people, and when she did not, she was expendable. Heads had to roll, and hers was only one of them. About that time, it became public knowledge that President Coleman and Vice President Andrea Foster had had a heated exchange in the hallways of the West Wing of the White House. Foster was decidedly more conservative than Coleman, and she supposedly challenged the president on 2 or 3 major policy differences. Apparently, they had been cool towards one another for some time, and the explosion between them occurred in front of staffers. It went viral in an hour. The news of their Donnybrook was the headline of the next weeks. Coleman was entering the cycle of his second-term presidential bid. The primaries were underway, and the Democrats were eating this news and Coleman for lunch. I received an 11:30 p.m. phone call from the White House operator. Governor Miller? Yes. I blinked into the dark, reaching for my bedside lamp. One moment, sir, for the president. Governor, this is President Coleman. I am sorry to bother you so late at night. Can I have a few moments of your time? Good evening, Mr. President. Of course. It is 11:30 here, but 1:30 a.m. There, is it not, sir? I replied. Lauren blinked at me in the brightness of the bedside lamp. Is everything okay, sir? I said. Governor, I have a situation on my hands, and I need your help. By now you have heard of the difficulties between the vice president and me last month, he said. Yes, sir, I have. It is unfortunate, to be sure, Mr. President, I replied wearily. Jason, I am in a tough race for re-election. Andrea and I are going to part ways at the end of this term. I need a replacement for her on the ticket. My staff has done extensive research on you out there in the West. We are politically compatible, and Colorado is a swing state. You are a popular governor. I need you on my team, he said. Jason, I am asking you to give some serious thought to becoming my running mate, President Coleman told me. Mr. President, I am sure shocked, sir. I do not know what to say. I hesitated. No need to answer tonight, Jason. Give this some thought. I cannot announce this too early anyhow, so we will go public in July, just before the convention. I have 2 other possibilities that I am considering, but you are at the top of the list. I want you to seriously consider the service of your country here, Governor, the president said. Will you do that? Mr. President, I will discuss this with my wife. I will give your words serious thought. Regardless of what I decide, sir, I thank you for the generous thought and your confidence, I replied. You are a good man, Governor. I know we will get along great. You have nearly 2 strong terms in office. You have 2 terms as a Colorado state senator. You are a wounded public servant, and you are ready for the big leagues. The people love you out there, and they will love you all over our land. The president said, I will not keep you any longer tonight. Let us talk again in a few days. Oh, Governor, please do not say a word to anyone about this phone call for the time being. Is that okay? He asked. I need to discuss this with my wife, sir. Without her on board, there is no further need to discuss anything, I said firmly. Of course, I was not talking about your family, Jason. I mean your staff or the papers or television reporters or that sort of thing. Let us keep this under our hats for the time being, with the exception of Lauren, okay? He replied. I was shocked that he even knew my wife's name. Of course. Thank you, Mr. President. Good night. Then I hung up the phone. I sat there in bed, looking into the darkness of the room like a jackass staring through a gate, my mouth open, my mind frozen in the moment. Lauren had heard my side of the conversation and much of what the president had said. She was lying right next to my head as he and I spoke. She could hear through the speaker of the receiver next to my ear. Lauren, too, was silent. With the pressures of her job, the request for her resignation, the times were ripe for change in our lives. We were ready for change, and we did not even realize it would come seeking us. We spoke not a word. I rolled over and kissed my beautiful wife. She returned the kiss with passion. Her need to be loved was extra keen at this difficult time, and my desire for the security of her arms was extra keen at this daunting time. My chief of detectives and I, the governor of Colorado, held each other and stayed close in the master bedroom of the governor's mansion until dawn, when we finally had to get up. Then I called down to the kitchen for 2 bowls of fruit and a pot of coffee with 2 cups. We had needed to reconnect. The pressures of both our offices, our responsibilities, were great, and we needed one another now more than ever, and we always had needed one another badly. I decided to take that Friday off, canceling my appointments through my inter-office voicemail to my staff. Lauren also called in and announced she would not be in. Her boss, the chief of police, called and demanded to talk to her, but we were insulated by the governor's staff, and she had shut off her cell phone. We needed a day or 2, and now was the time to take it, for that which would follow would be daunting indeed. Our weekend shut away in the governor's mansion was spent mostly out of sight, mostly resting, mostly together. We did dress late on Sunday morning and walked to a village nearby for a feast of banana nut pancakes, eggs, sausages, coffee, and orange juice. We went incognito, and nobody recognized either one of us. It was fun. Occasionally, we tried to get out and among the people unnoticed. We had become pretty good at it, not getting caught, even once. There was great pressure in the air the following Monday morning as Lauren Miller, the First Lady of Colorado and the Chief of Detectives of the Denver Police Department, marched into the office of her boss. The federal district attorneys were ruthless in their prosecutions of the police department, but Lauren was without blood on her hands. She had no nervousness for herself. Those around her, many of them, did have great nervousness. She had met with trusted colleagues. She had led an in-depth investigation about the alleged corruption scandal herself, and when she entered her boss's office, she had 2 of her most trusted lieutenants with her. Chief, you are under arrest. I am placing you under arrest for corruption, accepting bribes, and racketeering. Hand over your weapon and your shield, sir, Lauren said to her boss, Chief of Police Howard Briggs. Detective Miller, what the hell are you? He started, exasperated. The 2 lieutenants took either arm, twisted them around behind him, and cuffed him. They patted him down, removing the contents of his pockets. Lauren advised him of his constitutional rights, and then dialed the federal prosecutor from the chief's own phone on his desk and announced that the feds needed to come take into custody her prisoner in the matter that they were investigating. Nobody expected this. Not the feds, not the mayor, not the police department. Lauren is a consummate professional, and she did her job. When she got wind of the corruption, she launched her investigation privately, quietly, not knowing who she could trust throughout the department. She only confided in her closest allies. Her discretion, her experience, and her tenacity paid off. The U.S. Department of Justice had concluded the same results as Lauren, but they were slower to act, and she got the rat. She turned all her findings over to the feds that day. The police department was in a ruinous heap. Morale was at low ebb. The ranks were depleted because of the arrests, firings, and resignations, and those left to carry the load were overburdened. Lauren held a meeting of the Denver Police Department Protective Services Association. As acting police chief, she spoke to the officers and asked for their cooperation while the sorting out took place. Many of those men and women were her peers and had backed her up or she them at one time or another. As usual, they only had each other in their jobs. They would make it. The mayor asked Lauren to assume the chief of police position as permanent chief. Without even thinking for a moment, she replied, "No, sir, I am not interested at all. I will tender my resignation to you right now, effective 1 year from today. Until then, I will serve as your acting chief. If you find one sooner, my resignation will be effective then." Handing him her letter, she turned and walked away from the mayor of Denver. At that, Lauren had been betrayed by the mayor, the chief, and those in a position to do what was best for the department. But now Lauren had other fish to fry. Her husband might become the vice president of the United States. He would need her, and she intended to be there for him. It was time for a break. It was time. The Colorado governor's office had received requests from the national media to speak to the growing swell of support for Jason Miller to join President Coleman's re-election quest. Not having decided and not having heard further from Coleman, Governor Miller refused all questions about the subject. It was April already, and the tension between the president and vice president was growing. The party needed a healing force if it was going to remain in power. Governor Miller had held off answering President Coleman. The president was becoming increasingly vulnerable to the hard right, and the left was always there firing their missives. Coleman had finally asked Miller again, pleaded with him to accept the invitation to run for vice president. Lauren encouraged her husband to follow his conscience. She advised him that she was with him whatever his decision. She let him know that she would be free from her responsibilities at Denver PD no later than February the following year, just after inauguration. She offered to be his sounding board, and they often spent the evening or all day on a weekend talking about all the possibilities, liabilities, and challenges. Finally, "This is Governor Miller of Colorado to speak to the president, please," Jason told the White House operator. There was but a few seconds of silence on the line, and then, "Governor, how are you? I am so glad to hear from you. Do you have news for me?" The president spoke. "Mr. President, it is wonderful to speak to you again also, sir. I do have news, sir. If your offer still holds, I would be proud to join your ticket as your running mate in November for your second term as President of the United States, as your Vice President." "Thank God, Jason. That is the best news I have had recently. I will dispatch a team from the campaign to come to Denver and bring you up to speed on what is happening. I would like for you to field some of those questions from the press. The team will discuss all this with you. We can announce together from the steps of the Denver Capitol next month, in June, if you would like." The president spoke breathlessly, obviously greatly relieved and excited. "Very well, sir. But I thought you said we would announce in July." "This will really change my life right away," Jason laughed. "The alligators smell blood in the water, Governor. I need reinforcements." "You will be a great help," the president said. There was great celebration in Colorado, and on the steps of the Colorado State Capitol building that day in June, when President Coleman and Governor Miller, along with Lauren and the campaign team, announced that the governor would join the Republican ticket. Lauren and Jason celebrated quietly that night. "Remember finding me in a puddle of vomit, my pants a mess, my life in confusion? Lauren, you single-handedly brought me out of the depths of defeat and destruction. Whatever is to be, you are the catalyst. Have I told you how much I love you lately?" Jason asked Lauren as they sat on a porch swing, quietly rocking back and forth, embracing one another into the west garden of the governor's mansion. She did not answer, just nuzzled into her husband's chest and increased her hug around his middle as they sat in the swing. She smiled to herself, full of satisfaction, happy that she had done the things she did to encourage him. He had become her strength as well. For her, he was unlike any other man. He fulfilled her in a way others would not dream to do. The Democrats selected Karen Aldridge as their presidential candidate and Marsha Lane as candidate for vice president. President Coleman and Governor Miller both thought the Democrats made a tactical error in judgment in doing that. They were right, as it turned out. Governor Jason Miller was sworn in as Vice President of the United States of America on January 20th, Lauren holding their Bible for him to swear his oath of office onto. Coleman Miller had swept to victory with a 55-44 margin over the Democrats. 1% went to others. The Senate of the U.S. was split 55-44, Republicans in majority with one independent in residency. The U.S. House of Representatives was split 227-204, plus 4 independents, also about a 55-44% split, Republicans over Democrats. The country was divided almost exactly the same in these 3 areas of government. The mandate to govern was solid, though slim. The road would be rocky and fraught with battles over policy. Lauren flew back to Denver after the inauguration ceremonies, resuming her duties as acting chief of police for 3 more weeks. The court cases against the 90-some officers had not gone well for the government over the past 12 months. Most of the available damning evidence pointed to the ex-chief of police and 2 of his deputies and was exculpatory for most of the other officers accused. Some minor offenses were reported and acknowledged, but nothing as criminal, nothing as sinister as initially undertaken and accused by the federal authorities. Reputations were destroyed, careers ruined, and a whole city and state uprooted without just cause. It seemed political in nature as Coleman and Miller looked back upon it, with partisan players in the Department of Justice trying to discredit Miller before he even was up for office. They had anticipated Coleman's choice well, but the culpability just was not there. As it turned out, there was not enough dirt to fill in a grave in the department except on the chief and 2 of his cohorts. President Coleman directed his Attorney General to appoint a special prosecutor to look into allegations of wrongdoing against the Department of Justice itself. What a nest of wasps indeed. Lauren was begged by the mayor and city council to stay on as chief of police. She declined absolutely and left her office vacant, without a replacement, on the date that she had noted in her initial letter of resignation 1 year earlier. She finished her business in Denver and moved to Washington, D.C., to be with her husband, the vice president. Denver Police Department finally hired a veteran of its own ranks. He was recommended to the mayor and council by Lauren before she departed, and was one of the 2 men who had been with her that day the previous chief was arrested. President Coleman was being hounded day and night by the loyal Democratic opposition. The liberal press was in a full-court press against him, and he seemed paralyzed to act. Day after day, week after week, they carried unflattering stories and biased criticisms of the administration policies. Fair and balanced were not the order of the day for the media hounds. The president asked the vice president to breakfast every Wednesday morning. They cleared their calendars for 2 hours and spent those hours in communion with one another, talking candidly about the issues of the day. It was July of the 2nd year in office in that second Coleman term. The day was warm and humid. The president and vice president were on the portico, having soft-boiled eggs and Canadian bacon with hash browns and wheat toast, served with orange marmalade and coffee. The 2 men had become warm friends, and the president felt great affection for his team player and comrade, Vice President Jason Miller. Jason and I are mulling something over. What I am about to say is strictly between us and nobody else, okay? The president asked. Mr. President, Lauren is my only confidant. Other than her, nobody knows anything of our relationship or our conversations, and she is astutely competent to observe the parity of confidence, I replied. No, Jason, not Lauren, for now. I need to discuss something with you so sensitive that it must remain between us only. Sir, if you and discuss it, surely you must understand the value of only one trusted confidant. I will accede to your wishes, but I ask you to remember your own wife and what she means to you as your loyal friend and partner. Yes, you are right, Mr. Vice President. Very well, I acknowledge your point. Lauren alone is to be your only recipient of this information, and she is to keep it to herself. Understood? The President insisted. Understood, Mr. President. Jason, after the first of the year, I am going to step down as President. You will become President on February 1st next year. I will announce this on January 1st, giving your team 1 month to transition. Meanwhile, you and I will work together to prepare you for the rigors of office for the rest of this summer and fall, the President said. He took me by surprise. You will have nearly 2 full years to set your house in order, establish your agenda, and then you can win 2 full terms as President. Mr. President, are you all right? What is the meaning of such a decision? I asked, stunned. You and Lauren are loved by the people, Jason, and Ann and I are tired of this battle. The hounds of hell nip at us day and night, and I am frankly tired of this. I have done what I could for the country, but the divisive split started by Andrea Foster against me is not good for the nation. It will be best for you to lead us. You are not divisive, and you will do well. The people do love you. The President spoke. You are more one of the people than I have ever been able to establish. I did not speak. I sat and looked deep into the haunted, tired eyes of the man who had brought me into power, who now was so graciously offering to step aside and aid the smooth transition for the good of the nation rather than just his own. I was but 46 years old. I had become a state senator at 28, served 8 years there. I was elected governor and served 8 years in that capacity. I would become President of the United States at 47 years of age. The Constitution provides for 2 terms as president and no more than 10 years. I would enter office and serve as president for just under 2 years. If I was elected and re-elected, I would serve 9 years and 10+ months as President of the United States. President Coleman had thought this all out ahead of time and timed his actions accordingly. I asked President Coleman for some time away with my wife to begin immediately. Coleman agreed, and his office quietly arranged for transportation for my wife and me to Colorado that afternoon. There would be no fanfare, no motorcade, just unmarked cars. We would return to our apartment above the 16th Street Mall in downtown Denver for 5 days, beginning that Wednesday afternoon. Honey, what is going on? The Secret Service told me to pack for a few days away, Lauren asked me as I walked into the official vice president's residence at the Naval Observatory at noon. We need to talk, but I cannot say anything until we are alone. We are going back to the apartment in Denver for a few days. Just hang on. We will be alone and can talk then. Special Agent Megan Holt was one of the Secret Service detailers assigned to Lauren. I told Lauren to make a list of things we would need for the apartment for a week and to send Megan to King Soopers in Denver and buy them. We would not want to be seen in Denver at all, and our entire days would be spent in the apartment or on the roof above in the open air, but we could not afford to be down on the streets. Megan gathered our supplies, and the Secret Service left us undisturbed for 4 days, until Sunday morning, maintaining their watch outside the building in street clothes to protect the vice president and his wife. Stand there in the bathroom like you did that first time 15 years ago, Lauren, I said gently. She rose from her recliner in the living room and quietly walked into the bathroom, standing by the large tub. I helped her remove her blouse and her other clothing, folding them neatly as she stepped into the warm, running water. She settled into the tub, her eyes meeting mine in a quiet exchange of understanding and trust. I joined her, carefully lathering shampoo into her hair, massaging her scalp as the familiar scent of her favorite fragrance filled the room. As I rinsed her hair, she leaned back against me, her frame relaxed, and we shared a moment of peace, the warm water washing away some of the tension. I took my time gently soaping her arms, shoulders, and back, ensuring she felt cared for. After washing myself, I stepped out, wrapped myself in a towel, and helped her from the tub. I dried her hair with a towel, combed it carefully, and applied lotion to her hands and arms, ensuring she felt comforted and pampered. She watched me silently, her eyes reflecting the quiet connection we shared. We did not speak for over an hour as we replayed a memory from our early years together. The significance of it brought a deep sense of closeness. Eventually we lay side by side, her head resting on my chest, the weight of unspoken emotions lingering between us. Wrapped in each other's presence, we let the moment speak for itself, cherishing the bond we had nurtured over the years. Talk, she said. I am going to be sworn in as the 46th President of the United States of America February 1st of next year. W. How? Who? What is going on? She lifted her head off my shoulder to look at me, gauging whether I was jesting or not. The president told me this morning at breakfast. He is stepping down, announcing January 1st. Does anyone know? She asked. And in him, you and me. That is all, I replied. He wants it kept quiet for the time being. He and in are sick of the constant barrage of ill-wishers. He thinks the nation loves me, us, and thinks we will be better able to lead the nation from here on. He is offering to mentor me from now until January. He wants this administration to succeed, but he is convinced that he cannot be the one to do it, that he has too much baggage. Foster is pounding him on the right, and the left is howling like a pack of wolves, I said. He says the people love us, that we are thought of more as one of the people, to use his terms, and thinks we can have successes he could not have. I imagine, and will want some of your time as well, honey. She has several irons in the fire, and probably hopes you can continue her advocacy. You can have your own too, of course, just that she will want to talk a lot, I am sure. Okay, that is it. Mind if I get back to, let us see, where was I? I teased. We stayed close for hours, holding each other, letting the tension drain away. President Coleman told a national Republican audience on January 1st, New Year's Day, Jason Miller will be a great president. He has a track record of 16 years in Colorado, 2 years here with me in Washington, and he has made friends on both sides of the aisle. Our country needs Jason Miller at this critical time in our history, the president further intoned. And so the battles began for me anew. I decided to keep most of the senior staff on board from Coleman's White House, bringing only a dozen of my own close associates with me, surrounding me. I decided my very closest ally, Lauren, was qualified, and I appointed her Homeland Security Chief. She is well qualified, capable, experienced, and she has my complete trust. It did not settle well with the opposition. I argued that Mrs. Benton had led the healthcare battle in President Benton's first term. Mrs. Mason had become an official emissary of the president to several places, and Lauren actually had the highest level of security training, practical, and hands-on knowledge. She was my choice. The Senate confirmed her 95-2, with 3 not voting. The nation would be as competently served from her office as it had ever been, and it was a brilliant move on my part. She relegated duties of the First Lady to her own mother, who had been widowed by then. We moved her into the White House with us. It was perfect. Her mom was no nonsense, came from hard-working stock, and had a dignity and elegance about her that is rare. The critics howled, but only for a short while. Things were turning around in the nation. After 12 years of recession, the last year of President Avery, all 5 of President Mason, and 6 years under Coleman, the people were ready to get behind me. The nation unified, and we began working with one another, not so much against each other. The Congress finally passed a budget, and it was balanced. Many accomplishments were achieved under my leadership. We avoided war, reduced the national debt, lowered spending, cut taxes, and simultaneously increased revenues. Many people, both on the left and the right, commented on the unifying presidency that I represented. I had wonderful friends from all walks of life, all races and creeds. Faith still had its stalwart advocates, but the bitter hatred was at least put on the back burner during my nearly 10 years in office. Lauren and I left the presidency when I was 58. We had served our people with energy, pleasure, fidelity, and honesty. No major scandals broke out under my watch, and America was safer in the world. We needed to remain diligent, alert, and on guard, but so many of the hot spots were cooled or cooling. Our enemies lurked, to be sure, but their opportunities were diminished because our friends were so loyal it was hard for the haters to get a foothold and strike us. Of course, we know it is day to day, and we remain vigilant. One story from our 4th year in office I must relate. Lauren's security detail had a very handsome and vigorous 41-year-old supervisor. She and he worked closely together, traveled the world together, and became close. They had similar backgrounds. Both were attractive, and it stands to reason that temptation would rear its ugly head. Lauren was wrestling with menopause during her time at Homeland Security, and sometimes her hormones would drive her hard. We had found a way to stay in touch with just one phone call with no third person involved. We each had private cells that only the other one had the number for. She called me from Pocatello, Idaho, one evening. Jason, I am about to blow up. I am so restless. Can I please, just this once, be with my Secret Service guy? I feel so wound up, she said. Lauren, I love you. Never forget that. If your need for that moment is greater than your need for my love, decide for yourself what you must do. I whispered into the phone as I walked into a small room off the Oval Office. I had the Israeli Prime Minister in my office along with his contingency and my full staff as well. I could not talk at that moment, so I hung up. She returned 2 days later, and both of us had full schedules. We were not able to speak until nearly 9 p.m. I looked at her, glared at her, harshly, wondering and fearing the worst. I did not do it, Jason. I am sorry for even broaching the subject. I saw my physician today, and she put me on some hormones to level me out. My heart is yours. My body is yours. I have been yours since that night outside Coors Field, and I am yours tonight. Forgive me for putting you through that, she wept. I talked with a physician too, Lauren. He told me that it is normal for a woman going through menopause to have sudden urges, to be tempted. I only ask you, are you still only mine, really? I asked. Yes. I was tempted, I was. I asked him to remove himself from my security detail. He is on the Secretary of State's detail now, as of yesterday. I am yours. I have not been unfaithful, indeed, but I was tempted. I had been away from you, working so hard, stressing over issues, and suddenly you were not there. I wanted to reach out and have someone reassure me like only you can do, but you were not there. I saw it through, and we are intact, honey. Forgive me, she sobbed. We reconnected again that night. We had to stifle any sound, lest we have a full contingent of Secret Service agents coming to check on us. I discussed the subject with Lauren of having her step down if the job was too much for her at this time in her life. If she was vulnerable, the nation would be also. She assured me that the doctor said the medication she prescribed would level her hormonal balance, and she would be fine. No other incidents, no other suspicions or reports of disloyalty were ever broached. Lauren had a weak moment and came through it. Love conquered temptation. By that I mean her love for me and her need for my love for her conquered it. It is a testimony of fidelity in the face of what everyone suffers at one time or another. Lauren and I never had children, but the people of the nation are our children. They began to see us, as we neared our exit from office, as senior statespeople. We were revered, for the most part. Many of our old enemies had become allies. Some even became friends. We left the office of president with dignity, and we left it better off than when we entered it. With security being such an issue, we could not return to our penthouse apartment in downtown Denver, so we bought President Aaron Calhoun's old peanut farm in Plains, Georgia, after he passed away during Coleman's term of office. It had become in disrepair and run down. The family needed the money, so we thought it would preserve history, and we moved into their family home after extensive remodeling. My presidential library was built on the campus of the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley. It was the school I graduated from, receiving my Bachelor of Arts degree. I had met my first wife, Kim, there at school. We dated off and on and married in our senior year. She had close acquaintances who were longtime bed partners, much to my surprise and chagrin when I discovered them shortly after our wedding. It was that, my dad's murder, my mom's death to cancer, and too much money that had nearly destroyed me. I took to drinking, and a lovely lady cop rescued me after I had ruined my clothes, gotten sick all over myself, and nearly lost my life on the streets of Denver. With her strong, steady care for me, but probably even more her need for the special kind of love that I had for her, we faced many challenges through life together. Becoming President and First Lady of the United States, her becoming Director of Homeland Security. Though our battles were many, our triumphs were sufficiently numerous to count us successful in the end. The little town of Plains, Georgia, became a bustling small city. World leaders seemed to make Plains a regular stop on their way to or from Washington, D.C. I like to take them fishing out onto the pond where that famous rabbit attacked President Calhoun. I keep a .22 handy in case he decides to come back. After Calhoun beat him off with an oar, I was afraid he would be back for more. Not me. I will be ready for the little troublemaker. That's the end of today's story. If you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on the bell. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments. We read them all. And thanks for watching. You're always welcome here.